So what's up, everyone? I figured I'd make another video. It's been a long time since I've done any kind of rebuild on a motor. If I'm correct, I believe the last one I did, it was similar to this. It was an 8-cylinder, however, and I believe it was on a Volvo Penta. But I decided I would do this video. I mean, maybe it'll help somebody out. If it does, great. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Obviously, I didn't show you the teardown just simply because the teardown, anybody can tear a motor down. It's not that complicated. I mean, it's actually quite simple. You just take stuff apart. Just make sure as you're taking something apart, make sure you're labeling it. Like I can show you right here. Here's the crank, all the pistons, and they're all laid out systematically. If you look at the top of my pistons, arrow points towards the front with the number. Another one, number. Another one with the arrow and number. When you're going through a boat and you're taking all this stuff apart, you want to look at a few different things. One of these things is going to be the crank. So if somebody hasn't taken care of a boat, or actually any engine for that point, your crank is definitely going to tell the story. Well, as you can see right here, I mean, it's all oiled up still. I didn't want to take the oil completely off of it yet, just because it's going to be sitting out in a garage with a lot of moisture. I don't want any rust developing on the crank. Right here, I cleaned these off just to see what they were going to look like. So I don't see us having too many issues with it. I noticed a little scuff right here. I might be able to even polish that out just on my own. If not, I'll take it to a crank shop and then I'll have them just do a real quick polish on the journals. But journals are what you want to check. So when you're looking at a crank, check your journals. If you see a bunch of scratches, scuffing, scores, any of that, depending on how deep the score is, you could probably have it. You could probably take it to a crank shop and they can probably pull the scuff out. But I mean, you're talking thousands as far as it goes with depth. You start getting into some big scuffs, pitting, stuff, stuff like that. I would suggest start looking for another crank. But I'm looking at all the pistons. The reason this motor was taken apart is I noticed as I was going through and I was doing compression checks, I ended up getting a low compression on cylinder 5. And I'm like, okay, maybe somebody didn't winterize it. Maybe I have a cracked block. Who knows what the case may be? Well, in checking in the pistons here, or in the cylinder walls, all my cylinder walls look beautiful. So that left me with two options outside of that. If you lose a compression, it's generally three things. If it wasn't winterized, you got a cracked block. If it was, however, winterized, generally you're going to be stuck with a situation that it could be a valve that is not seating properly. So when you do a compression check, usually you do a leak down test following that if you get a low compression. Me, I was getting air coming out of the top of the head. So my next indication was, is it going to be a valve that's peened over or something of that nature? So if you go right over here, so I looked at all my heads. All my heads look perfectly fine underneath the bottom. All the valves are seated properly. So then I started doing a little bit more digging. Well, come to find out, looking at these head gaskets, I'm sure you can notice a distinguishable difference here. One is silver, the aluminum type, and one would be almost similar to like a newer Felpro. Now, when you pull heads off a boat, both these should match. So this tells me somewhere down the line, somebody changed one head gasket, didn't change the other. I'm betting this one right here is going to be the newer one. This one right here is probably factory original. Another way you can look and tell if you've got factory original stuff on your boat or whatnot, if you look at these numbers right, let me see if I can find a good one here. Like right here. See them numbers right there? Let me pull up another one here, see if I can give you another example here. So another one right here. How it says, I'm trying to see if I can get it to where it shows. It says GM. GM, well, this is the Chevy motor. It's a 4.3 liter V6. It's a GM manufactured motor. It's just manufactured for Mercruiser. But let's be realistic. It's essentially the same thing as a standard 97 GM 762. So we come over to here. As you're going through your boat, another thing you want to look at is look at your camshaft. Make sure your journal's not all messed up. When you're removing this camshaft, make very well sure you do not scuff the journals on the inside pulling it out. Basically, you've got to just take your time and guide it out. It will come out. You're going to look at every one of the journals, make sure there's no scuffs, make sure there's no pitting, make sure it doesn't look like it's been ground down, anything. And if you find any of that, once in a while you can take a camshaft to a shop, but I mean, they're so cheap, just buy another one, throw another one in. Just make sure you get the right size and everything that goes along with the boat. But as you can see how all my stuff right here is all laid out. This is from the front of the engine, left side, or front of the engine, right side, front, left. You can see where I actually got it marked on the table here. And this is how they all come out. But getting back to the point, the reason I now believe I was getting a low compression was I believe the head gasket, which would be that fellow right there, that head gasket was just trashed. And then looking at the oil pan, you can see, I don't know if you can see it really well, but there's a lot of sludge in this oil pan. Sludge is, it's just definitely somebody didn't take care of the motor. Water got into it, from a head gasket going bad. Just because it's not a car doesn't mean it don't run water through those to the top of the heads. So, it's just your water's pumped up from the lake or wherever you've got your boat sitting in. But you want to make sure that that's addressed. So when you go to put it all back together, you clean it out. Another rule of thumb, if you're going to pull a motor, while you got everything out, this fella right here is your oil pump. Always replace the oil pump. Always. You've already got the motor out. You might as well just do it. I mean, what's it, a mere $60, I think, to get these oil pumps. When you're putting them back in, as you'll see as I go through more videos with the putting this motor back together, because I'm going to document putting it back together for people so they know how to do it. But you want to prime this pump, and I'll demonstrate that when I'm starting to put it back together so people understand what it means. If you don't prime it, the engine may self-prime it when you turn it over, but if it don't, you just pretty much ruined your motor, because by the time any oil could even possibly get up there, if it did somehow miraculously self-prime after running, 5 minutes is enough to damage your whole entire motor without oil. Another thing you want to look at right here, always look at your gears. This is the camshaft timing gear, and always look at your, the points of the gear, look at the chain. I checked it when I was taking it off. There wasn't hardly any play in this. I'm guessing they probably did at some point replace this particular thing, but it's really hard to tell. But as I go along here, all this will get nice and pressure washed. It'll all get cleaned down. The whole motor will get repainted. Everything will be redone on this motor, just to make sure that when it goes back in, it's going to be doing really, really well. There aren't going to be any more issues. But that concludes this video for right now. Just keep lookout. It'll be listed under the 4.3 liter rebuild. Thanks. If you like my channel, like, subscribe. I always come up with new things. If you look at the rest of my videos, you'll see there's always new things that I post on there just to give people an idea of how to do some things. If there's a video you'd like made that I haven't done, or if I know something about it and you're not 100% clear, by all means, post a question down in the bottom there. I'll gladly answer it. And if it's something I can do, I'll make a video showing you just how to do it. But with that being said, everybody, I hope you have a great night. Have a good Christmas. Bye.